attachments. And the reason why I want to talk about attachments is because it's something I personally struggled with. And the attachments that I found in my career typically were on expectations, number one, that I put on myself. But two, kind of just like ancillary things, right? There's Ray Guy Award, there's rankings. In my time, social media was just taking off. So, fast forward 5 years later, it's, very important now to a lot of people in order to get noticed. So what I would like to talk about today is, becoming self-aware of our attachments when it comes to field goal kicking. Because this week on my own, I had my first kick and it went wide right, and immediately I got sad. And it was funny because one of the kids that I'm really good friends with up at West Point, he sent me some film and he was like, "Man, I went back to old habits." What were those habits? And I was like, he said, I'm overthinking again. So, why are you overthinking? Well, I'm overthinking because I missed my last kick. Okay, so what does making a kick or missing a kick have to do with overthinking? Let's start with the missing part. Well, I just expect so much better of myself, is what he said. Keyword, expect. In my head, I started filtering that down, and I saw the things in my career that I had expectations on. And it was real. And at 12 years old, they happen. They've already happened. They're already infiltrated into the brain as long as a kid has seen a computer or any kind of screen. They're there. So the first part of this discussion, because as I take a step back, mindset is so important for a field goal kicker. And I will be doing a disservice as I come over here and I say, "Hey guys, let's talk about technique. Let's get that plant foot right," So within the mindset, we're talking about internal and understanding our attachments so that we can become aware of them, so that we can correct those attachments when they come up in our kicking. So as a dad or as a coach or as a kicker, we can all help each other out. Hey, punters have attachments too. We all do. So number one, I make these webinars not just about me because I don't have all the answers. So at any time, if you guys want to open up and you guys want to talk, please stop me. Also, I'll open up for discussion as well. And what that looks like is I'll just say, "Hey guys, what do you think?" If you feel like opening up and talking, great. But as an 8th grader said last time, sometimes it's scary to talk, but you know what? He's really happy that he did. So my first topic that I want to throw out there is, if you're a coach or if you're a dad or if you're a kicker, what kind of attachments have you seen when it pertains to field goal kicking?
This is Tracy. So I'm a coach, I'm a dad. So I was a head coach for youth football. I worked with the high school kickers. And then this year they're making it official. Obviously, Cole's the one who teaches my son. Due to father-son coaching, I don't do that. I worked with my dad, doesn't work. Back to what you were telling us, missing that kick. Yesterday, working with the kicker for the first day of this season, and I notice my son does the same thing, especially when they're going far. Instead of doing that same rep at 30 yards, now you're backed up to 50, 60. They go for that boot, and they usually pull it to the left every time. And you're always telling them, just do the same steps you did from the 10-yard line, the 20-yard line, the 30-yard line. And then we had a good day yesterday. The kicker I work with got his personal best, 60 yards on his third attempt. So he was very happy. So that's what I see, is that they constantly, when they're going for their personal best, just throw all their technique out the door and go back that ball.
Yeah, so that's consistent with the statistics that I've seen over my 17,000 field goals that I've tracked on the Simple Kicking app, is that as distance increases, the field goal percentage decreases. So when we start exceeding realistic expectations or realistic field goals, that's when we get into to an area that's uncomfortable, obviously. And when we get uncomfortable, we throw our technique away to the side and we just kick. That's what I heard. Was there anything else that you've seen?
Since I'm dealing with pretty young, newer kickers, that's the main one because they're still learning, and they always want to back up, and then and it's like I try to focus more the high school kickers, and let's get your 30-yarders, your 40-yarders, get those dialed in. The odds of you kicking a 50, 60-yarder in a game, anyways, 1,000,000 to 1. So don't get so focused on that. Let's just make sure your PATs are good and your 30 and 40s are dialed in. And then
Right.
if we do back up, and I've gotten this from Cole a million times, just make sure it's straight. Who cares if you're short? As long as it's straight, your leg will get stronger with practice. So, that's basically what I focus on with them is just make sure it's straight, even if you're short. And we'll end on a bad kick. We'll end on a good kick. I'll say, hey, you got 5 more kicks. That's it. We're not going to sit here and do 10 bad kicks in a row.
Right.
That's about it.
But how are they responding to that coaching though? Like, what are you seeing on the ground? I mean, are the kids saying, "Okay, yeah, coach, I'll go ahead and do the 30 to 40-yard kicks"?
Yeah, because one, I haven't downloaded your app yet. I was talking to Cole yesterday. I guess you have a revision coming out in a week or two. That's going to tie the video and kicks to his iPad. He was going to be able to add me to his team, and so we're kind of excited for that because. But like yesterday, for example, when my kicker went back and his first kick, he dinged the goalpost at 60 yards up high. I was like, "Oh, you got this." Second kick, he overkicked it, and then I told him the same thing. I said, "Hey, you do what you did at 30 yards." Now I'm lucky; he's a great kicker. He listens and he nailed it right down the middle. And I ended it right there because I knew we were already stretched for him. So it's like, okay, let's back up. Let's go back up to the 40-yard line, end it there. And we jumped into his kickoffs and started working on those. So he's receptive. Once again, my son, I don't work a lot with my son. I let Cole do that, be just the father-son. And he's receptive, to Cole as well. He gets frustrated though, because I know they're all these kickers are always going for their personal best.
Yeah, but even as a dad, right? Although you're not the swing coach, do you still find yourself as involved?
Oh, very involved. Yeah, I'm always there. So we'll go kick, and then I just reinforce what his training was with like Cole or they work with Chad a little bit over at ABC. I would say that when they're having an off day, that's the toughest day for a coach because you see them get very frustrated and trying to explain to them that, you're going to have a bad day. That is the hardest part for me as a coach. And just coming to your webinars actually, I think, has helped me understand a kicker's point of view better. Considering I was a center and a linebacker, I actually never kicked.
Yeah.
I've just been thrown in this kicking world for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's been an education instead of just trying to kill the kicker. Now I'm actually trying to teach these guys. But hearing your guys' perspective and what your thought process is and what you go through in your preparation has definitely helped me translate that to these younger kickers. And I steal you guys' information constantly. So it's like trying to keep them calm. And I think I used you guys, I think it was last week, you're always, when I take the field, I'm going to make it. And so I used it yesterday to the high school kicker. I'm like, hey, you're going to make it.
Well, I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to go out there and, not want to make it or not feel like we can make it. It's like, but like we talked about last week in the Getting Ready episode, it's a really interesting dynamic. It's so interesting because the reason why it's dynamic and I use that word is like you said, there are off days. Oh my God, that dynamic moves, you know? How do you still have that mindset, that dynamic of I'm going to make this kick even if I'm going to throw this out there. I have an ingrown toenail, right? How am I still going to get myself in that mindset that says I got to get in the process. I got to have fun. And I got to let this ball go. I have to let this ball go.
Brings up another point. I noticed with kickers in general, they seem to be more sensitive to pain. So if their hip or something a little sore, it mentally throws them off. And, you know, from my experience as a linebacker, you're always in pain. So
Right.
you
Always in pain. And inevitable pain, perpetual pain.
bothering them, it throws their day off. And I'm like, that's something I'm trying to figure out how to teach them to block out, because that's a mental situation.
Yeah, so you were talking about attachments earlier.
Yep.
So are you talking about, so like you have these certain goals and then something goes wrong that may inhibit you from that goal and then it just ruins your whole vibe and just throws you off? Is that what you're talking about?
I think yeah, I'm talking about that specifically. Hey, I see guys' body language after they make a kick. And the body language is, great, I made a kick, next, on to the next one. Or that body language tells me, it still wasn't good enough. But then on the flip side, when I see a missed kick, the body language I see is, dang it. And then very quickly picking up the next ball and putting it on the tee.
Yeah, I got you. So like with me, it affected me as in, so my coach, I mean, he was actually a punting coach. He didn't kick field goals in high school. His son didn't kick field goals, nothing. So with field goals, I was kind of left on my own. But with punting, he had these high expectations. So in a game, it was my first year kicking. And he expected me to not only get region, but it wasn't all state. It was between region and state, right? Like section kicker or something. But
Okay, section kicker. Okay.
so yeah, he wanted me to be the all whatever you call it, punter. And I got all region, but every time in a game when I'd have like a 30-yard punt, you know, just a little shank, you know, it'd kill me wanting to go out there and punt again, if that makes sense.
Sure, it hurt. It hurt because when your results underperformed the expectations that you set, it made you fill in the blank.
Made you feel like you were just going to screw up the next one.
That I'm going to screw up the next one. Upset. Dejected. And for me, I internalize those feelings in my gut. I feel those in my stomach. The same feeling that I get when I go down on a roller coaster. I mean, I really feel my feelings. I am passionate, I am energetic, and I wear my emotions. And as a kicker, it was hard for me to take that who I am and then just totally eliminate those feelings, right? So it's the same thing here.
Right.
You've got some coach that places, okay, let's call them realistic expectations. But those are realistic expectations to that coach, but they may be unrealistic expectations to the kicker. And every great golfer and caddy that I've seen, bring that up to say, as I've watched golfers and caddies interact, a caddy never puts an expectation on a golfer, especially on like a 30-foot putt. Let's call it a 30-foot putt. That caddy has an ability to help the golfer see or feel the speed and then an ability to let the golfer trust the line that he or she is putting, whether it's to, you know what I'm saying? There is this, and then I'm going to use the word again. It's a dynamic. It's a relationship. It's fluid. It's moving. But for coaches to put real expectations on these guys turns into attachments that the kickers are internalizing. It's an expectation that we internalize so that when we do go back, when I say we, I speak for kickers, when I go back and I'm attempting a 63-yarder against the wind, it's the same feeling I get in my head as I'm going to make $10 million in the next 365 days. The first thing in my mind is you're lying. I'm not making $10 million in the next 365 days. Hell no, no way. Because going into the mindset of all this, it's just easy to underestimate our potential, especially in situations where it's difficult, and especially on situations that we have such high attachments. So if we're aware of those, because each kicker is going to be different. Some guys get crazy and they start overthinking when they move from a 47-yard kick to a 49-yard kick. Why? Because it's attempting the big golden nugget of 50 yards. But if kicking is mental and human beings are emotional, why aren't we dialing that in for these guys? Why am I not dialing it in for myself and plugging that in to my plan, into my process, into my routine for the day? It's because I'm too attached. I can't think clearly. I, James, cannot think clearly when I'm overly attached to the result. I can't understand that. Wait, hold on. I'm going to overswing. I don't care if this is a 43-yard ball in the early part of June. I'm not ready there. I'm not in a situation to be there. I don't feel good enough to go there. Oh, well, you're not getting uncomfortable. You're not getting in a position to really make yourself better. If you're a kicker who has the ability to kick those kicks, then by golly, you should go out there and do it. Says who? Look, when it comes to 50-plus yard field goals, I have very choice opinions about that. 8% of field goals in the last 3 seasons in college football were attempted from 50 yards and above. 8%. And the make percentage of those was like 40%. Oh, but you can go out there and get on the sticks and go kick go make a kick. Look, you'll hear a podcast coming up on Tuesday, and Tyler Brown, who's the graduate assistant at the University of Michigan, who is the son of Randy Brown. Look, Tyler's around 30 years old, just under 30 years old. This guy has been coaching for 2 decades, effectively, since he's been at all these NFL practices, since he was a rugrat. And you know what he said? The kid that can make a 50-plus yard kick, that's great. That might get you a job, but it's not going to help you keep a job. Look, a golfer, Tiger Woods at 12 years old, one more point, and then I'll let you guys open up. Golfers, they don't play from the tips at a young age. No, they don't. They progress up to that point as their bodies are developing. So if a high school kicker is out there between 12, 13, 14 years old and he's attempting kicks that are 50 plus, I call total. And I get really passionate about this because it's the wrong kind of practice. Sorry. I digress. Someone had something to say?
Yeah, James, this is Tracy again. I was just laughing a little bit there because I told my kicker, the high school kicker, yesterday. I said, "Hey, great, you made this 60-yarder. You might get somebody's attention, but you need to make them 30, 40s every time, to get into college." I used the same analogy. I was like, "This is great, but I only let them when we back up, but we only give them like 4 balls, 5 balls. Focus on what you're actually going to do." Plus, I use as a coach is if a field goal kicker in high school anyway, coach college anyway. If you can hit 60, 65 yards, that tells me you're going to get your kickoff into the end zone. So I'll use that as a measurement to see where their kickoff's going to be as well. Because our ultimate goal is to get them into the end zone so we don't get any runbacks. So because we were always taught don't do, and Cole supported me, is I've seen kickers hurt their legs because they'll do 50 full step kickoffs. So I'll spend more time when we back up doing the 3-step kickoffs or field goals. It's multi-training. We're doing field goals, but I'm also trying to get you deeper for your kickoff. Oh, and one more thing on the coaching. When you have a coach on you, now luckily at Pericles High School, they let me deal with the kicker, and the head coach, Dean Harrington, and all them deal with the team. So he's spoiled. He's got me there. But I've seen, if a head, I don't know what coaches get on you, but this is what I love about football. It's a team. And even the players, you're talking about attachments, that head coach comes down on you during a game. He's got a lot on his mind, and he may not personally be coming down on you. He's just got a lot on his mind, and that's what he's seeing that second. And as a player, no matter what your position is, you kind of got to ignore some of that. Your capabilities. And if it was a bad snap, you didn't get your set right. I mean, there's a million things in kicking that could have went wrong that caused that little pooch.
That's right. That's right. There's a million things that can go wrong in kicking. That's right. That's right. Head coach has got a lot on his mind. No, I hear you.
So that's just, my perspective on that.
Gavin? Yeah, that's okay. It better be pretty good. What was it? Like what kind of cereal are you having this morning? Cocoa Puffs? Oh.
I only kicked my senior year of high school, and I'm going into my freshman year of college.
Okay.
So I haven't learned a whole lot. I mean, well, I have, but I'm saying versus my junior year of college, I don't know anything.
Sure.
But just in that year of high school that I kicked,
Yeah.
almost all of my field goals I kicked from like 40 to 50 yards.
That's
not
not
in the game. Not in the game.
Oh, no.
I'm talking about in practice. That's like all I practiced because I didn't know any better. And I would only make 50, 60%.
And how did that work for you? How did that work for you knowing that you only made 50 or 60% of your kicks?
Not very good.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's been 2 weeks since I've backed up past 50. I've just been hammering 50 yards and in. Like I kicked this morning before I got on this webinar. And the farthest ball I hit was 48 or 49.
Okay.
So I'm just
48, 49.
Mm-hmm. And so I've learned, like you were saying, because I'm still progressing and I'm still growing, and I don't need to be hitting 50-yard balls every time.
And why not? Why don't you need to?
Because it's not likely at all that I'm going to get to kick one in a game.
Okay.
You said that you knew a kid from West Point.
Yeah.
Does he go to college there?
Yeah. He's a sophomore. He's literally number 5 on the depth chart, and he reached out to me in late April. I was like, man, I'm struggling, and I'm like, you found the right guy for you. Yeah, I'm no Mateo.
And the only guy that I have to compete against is a sophomore, so I just thought that they were the same guy.
Well, the only guy you're competing against is yourself. Only guy that we're competing against is ourselves. The only person that is wanting to bring us down are these attachments or these old ways of thinking or these, I've got to do this so that I can do that, right? If I kick a 60-yard ball, then I get noticed by an evaluator. If this evaluator places some kind of value on me, then if I kick far and I get high ranked or value, whatever it is, then as a result, that's good. Let me tell you something. Does Jordan Spieth really compete with Justin Thomas? Is Dustin Johnson really competing with Xander Schauffele? Is Patrick Reed really competing? No. Okay, well, Patrick Reed's competing with the fan base because no one likes Patrick Reed, which is a whole nother discussion. But at the end of the day, these great golfers, the great kickers, Adam Vinatieri, Justin Tucker, Harrison Butker, Jake Elliott, these dudes, current NFL guys, they get it. They're just trying to hit the inside quarter or panel of the ball and swing to their target. Daniel Carlson, Las Vegas Raiders, that dude got cut after being drafted in the 5th round by the Minnesota Vikings in 2018 or 2019? Give me a couple weeks, get me a workout, and what did he do? He not only got the job, he kept the job for the Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders. What was that guy thinking? What was that guy doing? Trying to compete for a job? No, he's not trying to compete for a job. He's trying to hit the ball to his target. Understand what's going on with the elements. Understand what his tendencies are. Visualize the kick, and then see the kick. Go kick the ball. You're looking at a guy that was attached to outcomes. I transferred to Rice after, a really good career at LSU. And I didn't realize that school was very difficult, and I didn't plug that into my expectations that I placed on myself. I decided to be I'm a 100% kicker. Look, there's a difference between having an end result in mind of being a 100% kicker and talking about the stats versus having the mindset that I'm going to go out there and kick the most quality ball I can kick to my target. Whether or not the ball is good is out of my control. I'm going to let go. I am going to let my process take over. This mindset that I've chosen, which is being detached from the outcome. Oh, and by the way, think about all the people in your life that really love you. So your life isn't dependent on making this kick or not. You'll be fine if you make it. You'll be fine if you miss it. Go on to the next one, because go home. Your dad, your mom, your brothers, your sisters, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever, your teammates, they all love you. So be abundant. Flourish. Have fun. Most kickers that I talk to are between the age of 12 and, 28 anyway. God, you have 100 years to live. You have so much going for you, either with your education or your friends or your sense of humor. A lot of you guys are funny or enjoyable creatures. You're interesting people. You got so much so just allow yourself to be abundant. So with these two topics today of, attachment, counter it with being detached. Counter it with learning. Gavin, you said, look, I'm not where I'm going to be where I'm a junior in high school. Well, of course. If every day you have some humility that says, I am at nothing, I'm working to something, then your engine will be well oiled and it'll keep going. And at the end of the road, who knows where you'll be. But you can look back and you can say, wow, I was in the process. I was detached. I didn't put unnecessary pressure on myself. I swung freely to my target. I trusted myself. And you know what? I had fun. I made some friends along the way. I've got some memories. Maybe I got some helmets that I can put in my office. And then you can say, you know what? And I was right. Maybe I am abundant. Look at your grateful journal, right? So this is one thing I do, and I stress all my guys to do. This is my grateful journal, okay? I have pages on pages on pages in here. right? Where I can go back to a date and I can write and I can see, okay, what was I grateful for that day? Let me tell you something. For me, my gratitude, and this may exceed kicking, and you're not coming here to receive any kind of, like, I don't know, life advice, but, well, for me, it kind of all goes hand in hand. When I ground myself in gratitude, it allows me to go out on the football field and swing freely, because I'm grateful I have an opportunity and I have my health and I've got a place to kick. As you know, many of us in COVID weren't able to go onto fields. Man, this is great to kick at a field goal post, and that net back there is awesome. I'm happy I have lines on this field. This is awesome. I'm going to let go and I'm going to swing freely. And you know what I did last week? Or a couple days ago? I kicked the ball great. Sure, I missed one to the right. So what? My body was getting warm. But at the end of the day, when I looked at it, my spread on my app was like 6 degrees. If I want to be a pro, it's got to be 3. Okay. I'm on my way. I'm at 6 degrees. I'm at 6 degrees, right? 6 degrees. I'm trying to get to 3. I'm trying to narrow my target, narrow my precision, narrow my focus. Step 1 in mindset is to detach from what social media tells you, what the rankings tell you, what the scholarship numbers tell you, what the scouts tell you. If Tom Brady was attached to his NFL Combine feedback, there would be no Tom Brady. If he was attached, and let me be clear on that, if he was attached in the sense that that's how he placed his value on himself, there would be no Tom Brady that we see today. Rather, the attachment that he puts is, let me show you something. You guys may think of this as me, but this is what you don't really know. And this guy's a winner, and the rest is the history. In fact, look up on YouTube Tom Brady, the Brady 6. And let me know what you think about from his process, from what he's attached to. He goes, look, I still look at myself on film and I think, maybe I'm still not that good. My arm could have been here. I could have been there, right? He's always refining his process, not scrupulating himself and not castigating himself for what he did wrong. He's looking to improve. He's always looking to know that I am right here, working to right here. And as a result, he's going to look at the end of his road and he's going to have no more fingers because they're all full with rings. But what we have for field goal kickers right now is a bunch of guys that are going out there trying to get noticed. Hey, coach, look at me, look at me. When the guys that kick well already know that they're enough. That was my experience. And that's what I'm hearing from these guys. And the guys that are using the app are learning. Look, I'm not here to push a product. Whether or not you use the app isn't important to me. But the feedback that I've received from guys are saying that it's changing their training. It's changing the way that they look at themselves. One high school guy goes, look, I thought I was in a slump. I then go back to the app to realize I'm not that far off from where I really want to be. One other guy goes, I went from hooking it left yesterday, making an adjustment, to not missing a single kick today. And the immense gratitude that I'm getting from guys is suggesting to me that this little piece of technology is unlocking a piece of potential that otherwise would have taken a longer time to get to. In other words, it's speeding up people's development and it's allowing people to have more fun. Look, kicking isn't about perfect, and as we end this with a quick mindset, with a very, very quick mindset exercise, I want you to think about your own attachments that you have. If you got a piece of paper, go ahead and write them down. I've got some paper right here as well. With myself or with my kickers, I have an attachment to. I'm going to give you just about 20 seconds to write that down, whatever it is, and I'm going to do the same.
Into my mind is to not prove the people who doubt me wrong. And that goes with, so whenever I started, I just decided to kick my senior year. A coach came up to me and asked me, and they asked me my junior year, but I wanted to work. And then my senior year, I figured, well, I'll just enjoy it and go kick and have fun. And so I got out there, and after about a month, I decided that I wanted to kick in college. And
All right, you wanted to kick in college. Okay.
I had a bunch of people tell me that there's no way, because it was my first year. And I even had one of the coaches tell me that. And so I ended up getting like 8 or 9 offers, signed to play NAIA. And I said the other day that I wanted to transfer after 2 years and play Division I football, because that's the ultimate goal for me. And somebody else said that they didn't think that I could. So it's just an attachment to me is to not be able to prove those people wrong.
Okay.
So are you wanting to let go
of the fact that you want to prove them wrong? And
Well, no, not really, because I think that's what drives me.
okay, if that's what drives you, okay, that's an attachment you have. That's fine. Coach, do you see any attachments either with the kickers that you're coaching now, maybe you as a coach, something that you had when you were your own a player?
I think the same as all these young athletes is you get focused on the coaches too much, the coaches' expectations, and not your own. That's my own experience back in my day too. Is coaches are always striving for the stars, right? And but sometimes they do put a lot on you, and kicking is like I said, I got thrown in this kicking world about 4 years ago. And there's just so many variables that I don't think all coaches realize. From a PAT, there's a snap, there's the hold, there's the timing behind it. I mean, if that snap is off at all, and from a sideline, you don't see all that. You can't see it, and there's not enough time. The head coach is not going to go back and look at his iPad at a kick. He'll look at his iPad for a defensive formation, but not necessarily a kick during a game. So yeah, they're gonna be on you, and that's tough for you guys as kickers mentally to be able to just step into that next kick, and that doesn't matter if it's punts or kickoffs or whatever. So like I said, the team I'm involved with, our kickers are lucky because I'll run over to them after a bad kick and just hey, next play, man, forget that one. But I know a lot of you guys don't have that, and that goes all the way through college. I know Cole's told me, a lot of times it's just you guys all by yourselves.
That's right. It is. It's us off to the side.
Yeah, I know my kicker. He's so happy. He saw me yesterday. It was first day of practice out here in California, and it was a little weird. Only 10 players on the field at a time. The COVID stuff. He was the only one allowed to even touch a ball, and so we're just kind of getting back into it. So, but yeah, just you got to focus on yourself and train constantly. I do believe in that. I mean, I don't mean go kick 1,000 balls a day, but at least get out there and kick, and you'll know what you're comfortable with. And if you do get an opportunity to kick a long kick, once again, as long as it's straight, especially the higher the level you go, even if you watch the NFL, when you see a kicker miss 50 yards, people still clap for him if it's straight because they know it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So here are some of the attachments that you guys shared. I got my little notepad here, little loose paper. One of you all has an attachment to prove people wrong, and there's people that are that's something that you're attached to, and that's something that can help you though, right? And in some ways it potentially can hurt you, especially if you if those people are proved right and you're wrong based on the results that you have, right? Because the part about that shortfall there, or the shortfall that could be potentially there, is how do you respond when things go bad? Because if you have a bad day and you are in the mindset of proving other people wrong, and you yourself may be attached to those results, and you may end up going down with those results with a disappointment. The shortfall may be that you have a hole that is now twice as deep as it was or what it could be. And if your goal is being a transfer to the deep, if that's what the goal is, let me tell you something. There's so much of that you can't control, and so although it is something that will motivate you to take that next rep and go harder in the weight room, when it comes to field goal kicking, at the end of the day, if you trust your process, you pick a target and you swing to that target and you swing freely, your process will take over, and the results always take care of themselves. Always take care of themselves. I'll say this again. If you focus on the process, the results always take care of themselves. And this conversation is about the attachment part of your process and how, do you become more self-aware of that. Coach talked about getting focused on, pleasing coaches, right? Like kind of people pleasing, right? That is something that's there for field goal kickers. Coaches can put a lot on guys, and Coach also said, the main focus is more on offense and defense when they're looking at formations on an iPad, not necessarily a missed kick. Coach brought up a great point about forget it and just move on. Focus on yourself and, focus on that training. Focus on that and rely on your preparation. I totally agree with that, Coach. So one thing that I'm going to give you guys here in closing for about 2 minutes is we're going to do a quick meditation on the attachments that we have. And really breathe, focusing on our breath, because learning how to be calm and learning how to have our wits about us is crucial in crunch time situations. It's crucial not on really the days that you're not feeling good, but it's crucial on the days that you're not feeling great. On the day that your C ball, C as in Charlie, is more pervasive than your alpha ball or your B Bravo ball. So get in a position. I know this is kind of weird because y'all are watching me, but you can close your eyes. You can watch me. I mean, I am wearing a Liverpool shirt because they're the EPL champions of the year. You can look at me. You can close your eyes. You can relax, lay down. Doesn't matter. But for about 2 minutes, what we're going to do here is focus on our breath. I'm going to lead you through a very basic script about your attachments and how to let those go. And at the end, you'll close your eyes. You'll open your eyes, and then we'll finish with this weekly webinar. So we begin. Go ahead and just focus on your breathing. And the way to do that is take a deep breath in through your nose. And then out through your mouth. And repeat that a few times. One more breath in through your nose. I want you to think about the attachment that you talked about earlier. Imagine what it would be like to be free of that attachment. Imagine where there's no one out there to prove anything to. There are no coaches to please. Focus on that feeling of being relaxed. Detached. Now picture a kick. You can choose the distance or the hash, but keep it inside 30 yards. Imagine a game scenario, second quarter. Your team has 7 points. Opposing team has 14. You trot on the field. You have the spot. Your holder puts his finger down on the spot. You take your steps. Again, focus on your breathing. You choose your target. Go through your routine. And your holder looks at you. And you give him the nod. What is that feeling like? Focus on your breathing and imagine the kick. And as we close this meditation, take a couple deep breaths, and when you're ready, open your eyes. And we'll end it there with the meditation. So, if there's anything that stands out to you, maybe write it down. Either what we talked about or what you felt. Out of curiosity, is there anything that stands out to you guys that you've either heard today or you meditated on that you're open or willing to share? And again, there's no pressure at all if there's nothing.
This is just more of a quick question then.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you were saying during the meditation, pick a target. I have heard about like picking a target behind the field goal. Right. And I just typically just look up at the uprights and then just know the direction to kick it. Do you think picking a target past the field goal would help?
It's up for you to practice that. And what I want you, instead of me answering that, go out there with a specific goal in mind to do something different than what you've been doing. Not everybody is going to have the exact
my kicker
same.
Last year at the high school level, before every game during warm-ups, he kicked that way because every kicker's different. He liked to have a target, and we'd go down in the field, and it could be a flagpole in the distance. It could be a tree. And he was able to focus on that, and he did pretty well. Now, that's him. And I agree with James. You got to go out and practice that. But it did help him.
All right.
Practice it. Coach, anything that stood out to you during this webinar or the meditation or anything we talked about?
For me, I think I'm going to pay attention more this year of expectations. You know, there's a lot of coaches on the sideline, not just the head coach, and they can get in the kicker's ear. So I think I'm going to try to pay attention to that, and so the kickers don't get thrown off by somebody's unrealistic expectations. And it could be players putting it on them as well. So I just kind of pay attention and make sure he doesn't get my kicker all mentally out of the game.
Got it. Well, these meditations, guys, are really important. I think they're equally as important as going out there to kick. And they're really weird and they're uncomfortable. But if this was helpful for you and you'd be open to having more kind of meditations or more topics or discussions around this, please let me know so I can create resources. I already have a couple topics that are lined up. But I want to thank you guys for joining this webinar. This was so much fun. I mean, I know we got a little bit high on some, and got into the weeds on topics, but for field goal kickers, we're different. And that's why these conversations are a little bit, different than, linebackers or quarterbacks or whatever. I mean, this is a different situation. You guys coming in and joining on really made this really fun and cool for me. So I'm very grateful that you guys showed up.